All right. Okay. And then I'm just going to share the PowerPoint one moment, and then we're good to go. Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys. Good evening. We are having an informational meeting tonight because there's no voting and there's no quorum. But we can still have it, as Lucy, our chair, said, because there's no voting happening tonight. So tonight's meeting will be an informational meeting for the public and the board members here. Before we begin, we'd like to let people know that this is being recorded and anything that is said can be for at a later date. Okay, our first speaker is, which is the co-chair, is Tatiana Siegel.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm a co-chair of the Housing Committee. My name is Tatiana Siegel. I'm also an attorney, and I practice housing law or landlord-tenant law. And today we will talk about affordable housing. So we also have additional speakers that will be introduced later. We have Angela Cummings from NHS, and we also have somebody from City 5, which is a marketing team for the new development that's coming up in Coney Island. And we'll focus on Coney Island Phase 2 building, which is located at 2938 West 16th Street. So right here in our neighborhood. But before we talk about this building, we'll talk about affordable housing in general. First slide, please. So there are different types of rental housing. There are market rentals, the apartments that are being rented at the market price, essentially. Then there are rent stabilized apartments. And in New York City, there are about 1 million of rent stabilized apartments. These apartments are applied to buildings that have more than six or more units in the building, and they were built before 1974. There are also rent stabilized apartments that are built on the J51 program or 421A program, and they happen to be in the newer built buildings. We also have a stock of rent-controlled apartments. These are the older apartments. As an attorney, I haven't had a client yet who lives in a rent-controlled apartment, but I hear that there are some still in Manhattan. We also have private houses. So these are small houses that have less than 6 apartments. We also have public houses. When we say public houses, we're talking about New York City Housing Authority or NYCHA. Over here in Coney Island area, we have a few. We have Surfside Gardens, we have Haber houses, and Coney Island houses, and so on. Some people also have Section 8 vouchers, and I believe it was mentioned before, there are 2 types of Section 8 vouchers. There are housing choice section vouchers, which can be applied to any apartment in a private building. And it's basically like a certificate which goes around with you, it travels with you as a tenant. And then there are also project-based Section 8 vouchers, which can only be used in a specific building. We also have co-op buildings and condos, and some of them can be Mitchell-Lama, which are subsidized cooperative buildings and lots. Next slide, please. I assume a lot of people know that when we rent an apartment, we need to give a security deposit. According to the latest law, the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act, or HSTPA, which was enacted in 2019, the security deposit should not exceed 1 month's rent. And if somebody asks you for 2 months' rent, it's obviously a violation of the law. So the landlords are prohibited from collecting an application fee greater than $20. And this is basically the amount of money that's being used to do the background check and the criminal background and credit check. The security deposit must be kept in, next slide is, the security deposit must be kept in an interest-bearing account in New York State Bank. And the owner must notify the tenant of the name and the address of the bank and pay the tenant the full annual interest. The security deposit should not be used as a final month's rent. At the end of the lease, if the tenant honored the terms of and the conditions of the lease and left the apartment in the same condition as it was when it was initially rented, the owner must return the full security deposit. If there was some damage, the owner may apply part of or all of the security deposit to the cost of the repair. Next slide, please. And now we'll talk about New York City Housing Connect. New York City Housing Connect is an online portal. It's a website where you can find an affordable apartment or home to rent or buy. So affordable rental units are regulated. They're essentially rent stabilized. And when we deal with rent stabilized apartments, we as tenants would get a lot of protections in terms of the rent increases. So we are being protected against arbitrary and capricious rent increases every year. So which means that the rent cannot go up too much over time. So you can use New York City Housing Connect to find affordable housing in all 5 boroughs. There's some priority for these lotteries. So the priority is given to people who have disability, or seniors, and who live in the same neighborhood. Also, when you apply, your household income must meet the income requirements that are used for that particular lottery. You can apply to more than one lottery. Okay, so yes, you can go to that slide. So right now we'll focus on this new development, the Coney Island Phase 2, which is located at 2938 West 16th Street, Brooklyn, New York, in our zip code 11224. So this is the snapshot from the Housing Connect. Please go to the next one. This is again the next slide. Over here you can see that they have 375 units available in this building. And anybody who has income levels from 17,000 per year to 210,000 per year can essentially apply for this development. And the household size is from 1 person to 7 people. The application deadline is January 5th of the next year of 2024. I think we should switch to the Housing Connect website and go into more details. So,
before we continue, we should announce some of the guests on the screen.
okay.
Okay, if you want to.
So, yeah, so as I said before, we have a couple of guests. We have Angela Cummings from NHS Brooklyn, which is a non-for-profit organization. We also have what's her name?
Let's see. Chican, is that Chican Cruz?
We have somebody from City 5. You can introduce yourself.
I'm Chican Cruz. I'm with City 5. Hi, everybody.
Hi. And
hey guys.
Anna's there also, right? Anna?
Yes, hi, my name is Anna. I work at City 5 as well. Good evening,
Great.
everybody.
Nice meeting you. So,
If you want to show the listing, we have the listing. Let me get enlarge.
I signed on to the actual.
yeah,
Oh,
I
sure.
just wanted to show the actual
Yes,
portal.
that's
So
good.
this is the actual portal. You have to configure, you have to register for it. The registration process is not really straightforward, but you have to pick a user ID, a password, a strong password, and then you have to specify your email address and your cell phone number. Then you would get a double authentication, a two-way authentication. You will get a text message on your cell phone. You will get an email sent to your email address. And by following the steps, you would be able to log in. Once you log in, you have to click on the right, on the upper right menu choice. So I'm showing you a website of somebody who already registered. So his name is Victor. If you click on Victor, you should see a drop-down menu. So this is a drop-down menu. And over here, you have to go to My Household. So we already did this for Victor. He selected, I think we should go back because there is a lot of private information. Yeah, so over there, you would have to enter your income, your age, your social security number, whether or not you're a student or a veteran, and so on. You would be able to see your information just like we created this for Victor. So once you successfully registered and customized it for yourself and your household, you should go to Open Lotteries. And there you would see all the open lotteries. So right now there are 31 rental lotteries in all 5 boroughs. You can refine your search by clicking on refine search and selecting, let's say, only Brooklyn as a neighborhood. So if you select Brooklyn, you would be able to see 15 open lotteries. And among those lotteries, you would find Coney Island Phase 2. So if you click on apply, it would show you the summary screen pertaining to this lottery. It give you all the information. It would tell you about the amenities in this building, the details, the income requirements, and so on. And if you go down, you would see basically a table of the available units and income requirements. So this is the table, but I guess we also have it as a separate sheet, right?
Yes.
So you would see where you would fit in if you're asking for a studio or 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or 3 bedroom, and depending on the household composition and your income. And you would also see how much you would pay per monthly rent. So all this information is here, and there is an apply button somewhere. I think it's either at the bottom or.
It's right.
Oh, yeah. In this case, this application was already submitted for this person, and he's waiting.
If you want to, NHS, Angela, if you want to explain what you guys offer to the people online and in the neighborhood.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Eddie. Yes. Again, my name is Angela Cummins. So NHS Brooklyn, we are, in addition to being a nonprofit housing counseling agency, we're what HPD calls a housing ambassador. We were selected by HPD to help to promote this Housing Connect website to help our clients to apply for the lottery. So what we do here is we will assist all clients who are in need of understanding how to navigate this whole process. We do come across many people who don't even have a computer at home, or they may have something, don't know what to do with it. So we will sit with them. We will go through exactly what just happened. Show someone how to open up a profile, to create a profile. Help them with the login, creating password, all those different wonderful things. We do find though a lot of people come to us already have done that. So most of the challenge is I applied, but I have no idea what I did. So then we have to go through and explain what the whole process is all about. So sometimes it's not just showing them how to make a profile. It's I've done that. And sometimes people, because it's a new program, there's now part 2. There was a Housing Connect 1. The part 2 was a little part 1 was one thing. Now part 2 is a little different. And so some people don't know how to complete it properly. So really we just walk people through. And then once they've set up their profile and we've encouraged them how to select the units, then we're there to continue to support them by helping them to see if their name gets picked, what they should do, or even before they get picked, we can explain to them what they need to know about this whole process. So it could be quite lengthy, but mostly we're here just to handhold and just assure that everyone understands what the process is all about.
Oh, and where are you located?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I forgot that. Okay, so currently we have 2 locations. We are in East Flatbush, 2806 Church Avenue. Our second location is in Canarsie at 9701 Avenue L. And we are looking to have another location in Coney Island in 2024. So we will be available for people who live out there.
Oh, and telephone number.
Oh, our telephone number is 718-469-4679.
And locally, we also have 2 non-for-profits over here, actually 3. We have JCC of Greater Coney Island, which have have social workers.
Social worker. Yes.
And they would be able to assist with creating this login. And we also have Shorefront JCC located at 128 Brighton Beach Avenue, 5th floor. And we have the organization that was founded by Pat Singer, who is a co-chair of this committee. It's Brighton Neighborhood Association, and it's also located at 128 Brighton Beach Avenue, 3rd floor. So if anybody needs help locally, they can go to these organizations, these non-for-profits, and I'm sure one of the social workers would be able to set up a login and would be able to help somebody to apply for this Housing Connect lottery.
Sure. All right. Also, our other speaker who's here from City 5, if you guys want to tell a little bit more information about your development. Is it completed yet?
Anna, you can go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So the development is almost ready to be occupied. We are about, I would say 2 months away from starting tenant selection process for this lottery. So I actually prepared a deck that I can share with you guys, but I feel like you already did half of my job and covered all of the information about this lottery and this development. So I would just, I guess, share a little bit more information about our office and what we do. So City 5 Consultant is a marketing agent for affordable housing lotteries. We work on many different affordable housing lotteries across New York City. This is one of our projects, and it's currently live on Housing Connect. We welcome everyone to apply online or send a paper application request to our office, and we will send you a paper application to apply. We are accepting applications till January 5th of 2024. After that deadline, we will no longer be able to accept the applications. And I would say in around February, we are planning to start the tenant selection process and start reaching out to potentially eligible applicants. So if you have any questions, if our office reached out to you guys, we would be the ones who will be processing your application and hopefully placing you as soon as possible in your new home.
Do you know how many have applied already or not yet?
So I believe online we received about 60,000 applications so far. And by paper, we received, I'm actually in the office right now, going through the applications. And I think we received about like at least 400 inquiries by paper.
Okay.
I got
So we have a lot of interest.
What percentage of Coney Island that you've given these apartments of Coney Island residents?
So there is there are several preferences for this lottery. So 50% of the units will be allocated for the community board residents. So for example, if you live in Coney Island and you applied for this lottery, you will have a preference.
Okay. What about seniors or people with disabilities? Do they have a preference above the Coney Island residents, or they're pretty much the same, equal?
So it's I would say it's equal. It's more of like a set aside. So we set aside those units to people with the preference, and we are going through applicants who qualify for each preference. There is a set aside for people with disabilities, and also for municipal employees.
Okay. So do you know how much percentage for disability? Like how many units? About
So
how
we
many?
have, yes, of course. We do have that information available for you. So it's 5% for people with mobility impairment and 2% for people with vision and hearing impairment, meaning that 2% of the units in the lottery will be allocated to people with this kind of disability, and 5% for municipal employees.
Sounds good. Is there any other questions from the Zoom? Anybody have any questions? You can unmute yourself.
So I guess back to the question, if your income gets reduced, it was already responded to. But what happens if you become a millionaire? Do you get displaced? Do you get removed? You know, or you just remain there and pay the high. Now you start paying the, what is it called? The MRI, or no? Is that what it's called?
AMI?
Am I right? Is that then it just do you start just paying market value? Sorry, that's what I meant to say. That's
a really good question. Currently 421A doesn't have a recertification process. So for Section 8, they do. They'll have like a recertification process every year. For 100% tax credit buildings, there is a recertification process as well. But this lottery in particular has tax credit on it. So I think they are subject to some recertification process. Their income cannot go above 140%, the AMI limit. So therefore, yeah, if you become a millionaire, you will go to market rent. You will go to the legal rent.
So you go to legal, but you won't get displaced.
No, you won't get displaced. No.
Okay. No, that's good to know. I mean, hey, if I was a millionaire, I wouldn't be there, but not what. But it's good to know because I'm hearing that other units or other real estate places, once you hit a cap, they're looking at removing people.
Well, that depends. So yeah, that depends. There are circumstances where so there's 2 years. There's a 2-year requirement. There's called a first year file, a second year file for tax credit units. And in those 2 years, they're crucial to make sure that the person that is living in that unit is at the 80% or 130%, whatever percentage they came in at, AMI limit they came in at, they have to remain there. They could not go above 140%. So for tax credit, there's called a next available unit rule. Some people that are not at the 140%, maybe they're above it, but they're not 140%. What happens is that the next person that moves into the building has to be at the AMI limit for the building to make sure that the tax credits are not affected. But there are circumstances where people do go above the 140 and it messes up the tax credit kind of like levels. So there's certain levels that you're supposed to have in the buildings. If it's a 60-40, then what happens is property management will ask you to move, and they usually pay for all your expenses and everything like that to move. But yes, there are circumstances where you have to be removed, but they're not going to kick you out or anything like that. They have to make sure that they kind of finance your move for you, type of thing. They have to help you move.
I appreciate what you said, Ms. Cruz, because while I don't want anyone to be homeless, even if you hit the lottery all of a sudden, but I do want also to stay at what it should be is affordable housing. So if 60% for people that are making a certain income and 70% the people are making it, right? All of a sudden you got 3 people or 4 that have, got lucky and they're taking a space from someone that could benefit because they have a lower income. I'm happy to hear that they will give that they will talk to that individual and make arrangements for them to leave the premises.
Correct.
So that way they can fulfill the percentage that is required to have affordable housing in the unit in the next, because if you're calling
this is unique to tax credit only. I just want to clarify that there's so many different housing subsidies, but for Coney Island, that is tax credit. This is applicable to Coney Island. So other projects may have different rules.
Okay. All right. So, but it's just good to know. It's a good idea, something in the mind that someone would know.
Question.
Okay.
So we just discussed wealthy people. What about people who do not meet this requirement, the income requirement? For example, I know about an elderly person. She receives SSI and her yearly income is $12,000 per year. So it's actually below the threshold because we need to have 17,000 in order to qualify for this lottery. However, she is elderly, she has mobility issues, she's disabled, she uses a walker, a rollator. Would she qualify? Would she be even considered for this type of lottery?
Oh, that's a very good question. And we come across that every day when we're doing applications for our other projects. Unfortunately, the rules are in place. The minimum income rule is in place for all the units. If you look at the chart, it'll give you a minimum income and a maximum income per family size. There are also requirements for households as well. So there's a minimum of 2 people that can be in a 2-bedroom. And then there's maximums of for 3 people to be in a 1-bedroom. I believe that's the case. All of these requirements are in place to make sure that the tenant has a good quality of life in a unit, number one, and that we're not overhousing applicants either. 1 person in a 2-bedroom makes no sense. And that the other thing is for the rent part is to make sure that they can pay the rent. We can't set up residents for disaster. So they came up with a formula to make sure that the applicants meet the minimum requirements to afford the rent.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Oh, no, I was asking about the tax exemption. What's the difference between the tax exemption building and the regular one and the non-tax exempt building? Are all the buildings in Coney Island is tax exempt? A tax credit, I mean?
Yeah, so I've been in this business for 19 years and it can get very, very confusing. So that's why I try to make sure that I give you information specific to the building that we're talking about. So what I can say is that just like any other building that's rented up in New York City, like for instance, if there was a market building, you would have different loans on that building. You'll have different investors in that building. The same applies for Coney Island. There's different programs so that they agree to in their regulatory agreement. So that means that they get tax credits from the city. They can get tax credit from the federal government. They can also get more incentives based upon the regulatory agreement for having inclusionary homeless placement, set aside units, all those different things. So it's really unique to the building on what they actually have in the building. And all I can pretty much describe it to you, just to give it to you in layman's terms, is that there's a bunch of layering. There's a bunch of layers of different things that go into these buildings.
I believe you have another building that's coming up, right? Which is next to Coney Island Phase 2. And I think it's called Coney Island Phase 3. When are we anticipating the completion of Coney Island Phase 3? Do you have an estimated date?
We can't hear you, Tara.
Oh,
You couldn't hear me?
Tara, Tara,
No, Tara
Yeah.
has to speak. Yeah, we couldn't hear her.
Tara, yeah, unmute yourself.
Oh, we still can't hear you. She's unmuted.
She's unmuted. You want to type it in the chat? You type it in the chat, how many, when you expect the next Coney Island Phase 3
The completion of Coney Island Phase
to
3.
start and finish.
And whether or not it's going to have the same income requirements and be pretty much similar to this one.
Tara said we do not have a date at this moment.
Okay. Do you have any details about the Coney Island Phase 3? Just out of curiosity. Is it going to be similar to this one?
She doesn't have any details at this time.
Okay.
And so Coney Island Phase 2, did they say when it's gonna be completed? Construction wise?
Are you meaning like the TCO?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, TCO is expected in January 2024 sometime. And of course, you know that we're at the mercy of the city to go out and inspect and do all those things. So that's the best that we can do, is give you that date.
And once they approve it, it's livable then, right? You can move right in? I
Yeah,
guess.
so certificate of occupancy, that's what it's temporary certificate of occupancy. That's what TCO stands for. So that once they get that certificate, that means that people can move into the units, but they cannot move in before.
In terms of the utilities, will they be paying for gas and electricity?
Only electricity. Electric.
I do not know the answer to that particular question.
And actually, it's listed in the ad, and I believe it's electricity, including electric stove. If you can scroll down a little bit, it's going to be on the bottom of the chart.
It says it's only electricity that the tenant is responsible for.
Electricity, including electric stoves.
So there is no gas.
Yeah. If there is gas, then the tenants are not paying for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I don't think any units are being built with
Yeah.
gas. So it's always going to be electric moving forward.
Sure.
Correct. Yes, it's all electric.
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you now, Tara.
And is heat going to be provided by the landlord?
Electric.
Yes,
Yeah.
the heat is provided by the landlord. There's PTAC units in the building. The heat is provided by the landlord. The PTAC unit though also does AC, air conditioning, which is run with an electrical motor. So when they run the AC, it's the electrical, which they pay for. So they will expect a higher electrical bill in the summer when they're running the AC in the unit. That's one thing we go through with, tenants in affordable housing. They think because the unit is already there that it's not their expense, but it is because the way it's written, the way it operates. The heat does not run through electrical. The heat from the PTAC unit is run by the heat from the gas from the boiler. So there's nothing that uses electric for the heating component.
Can somebody describe the amenities and talk in more details about the amenities in the building?
There's a gym, there is a lounge, there's a kids room, there's a rooftop outdoor space. Trying to think, I think that's
It's
it. And there's like
looking
an
right
outdoor
at it. It says shared laundry room, dishwasher in the
wonderful.
unit, recreation room. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the lounge.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
there you go.
lounge.
And bike storage.
And bike, yes, bikes are required, yes.
One, right, Eddie? And Tatiana?
Go ahead, Liz.
I'm saying similar to phase one.
It's similar to phase one, right? In phase one, because this is built by the same people.
Yeah. Parking.
There's gonna be parking.
What would be the percentage that a tenant would have to pay for parking?
I don't know. I don't have any details on the parking. I believe it's gonna be an attendant parking, so it depends on the parking operator.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Is there I hate to ask this, front desk or no front desk? Because I know that the one over there, the domestic violence, they do have a front desk, right?
You mean if there is a security person, a
20th
doorman?
Street, Raven Hall.
Can you mention that, Eddie? I want to say no.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
I was just, and I was just there today too. I'm trying to figure out. Eric, you're on the line. Do you happen to know? I don't, off the top of my head.
So I'm just curious. So the deadline for application is January 5th. Then what happens next? Like, does it take like 2 weeks?
Anna, you want to take it? So basically what we have to do after the deadline is over, the city normally gives us like a week after the deadline, because if somebody postmarks something January 5th, that has to be included, right? So they give us about a week, sometimes a week and a half before we then have to go to the post office box, pick up all the envelopes, and then do the paper entry, right? And there's day entry. It can take 1 day, it can take 3 days. It depends on how many applications come back. If they sent out 400 applications, will we get all 400 back? Maybe, maybe not. And then they enter that into, the basically Housing Connect, internal platform. And then we wait for the city to basically give us the go ahead that then Chicon and Anna and City 5's team can start to run the batches on these units and potential tenants.
The data. So you're dealing with a huge amount of data, and then you select the lucky winners, basically.
Well, I mean, we don't even select them; they're kind of given to us. Like we put in what we're, what we're looking for, like, and then they pretty much give us the names. We usually run batches. Chicon, and correct me, but normally on this, I will run like 100 batches at one batch with 100 names at one time. So we then have to go through the 100 people to see if they qualify, what income, what unit, etc. And then if they do, they get reached out to via email, letters, telling them that they, if they're still interested to contact, they have to start to submit all their documentation. And then the whole process starts then, as far as seeing if they, income qualify. Then we send the file over to the city approves the file, and then it keeps moving.
Does it matter whether or not they have any assets in the bank?
Yes.
Yes, there are asset limits.
So could you give us an example? So let's say for one person.
Let me pull that up for you. Hold on.
I know when you go to Housing Connect website, it simply asks whether you have a checking account, savings account, and we have to name a financial institution where this either checking or savings account is. But it doesn't talk about how much money you have in the bank. So I was wondering if there is some sort of asset test.
Yes. So currently these are the 2023 asset limits. So it's by AMI size. I'm sorry, AMI limit. So for 30%, it's 42,360. And I do want to let you know that this does not include retirement accounts. So anything that's considered retirement account, it can be the IRA, pension, for 403B, whatever your retirement account, these amounts do not include that. But yes, there are asset limits, and this is for 130%. I think the property goes up to 120. They have 120%, but these are the asset limits for 2023. And they do change every year. So these asset limits will change next year, 2024.
Is it published somewhere?
Possibly on the HPD website. This should be somewhere. If not, I can absolutely share this with you guys. I can share it.
Thank you so much.
Is there any questions else in the chat?
Yeah, I have two more, Eddie. I'm sorry. And Tatiana, thank you very much, because that's a very important question. So I guess I'll stop applying, because my intention is to hopefully be blessed with one of these, sell my house, but then I'll have too much in the bank. So won't get it. So I guess I'll wait till retirement $2 come in. But that was a very good question, because I've never even thought about that. Because as I've been telling the office, my goal is to sell the house, move into a unit, and then that little nest egg that I have in the bank, it's my nest egg, but now I can't even qualify because the little nest egg is too much. Okay, I don't think the assets should count, but that's my personal opinion. But one more question, and the question is the filing fee to check someone's background. What is that, and can it be waived?
Backgrounds cannot be waived by property management. Usually those requirements are set by property management or the owners, and most require the background check. And it's to ensure the quality of life of your neighbors. You want to make sure that you don't have someone living next to you that can possibly cause harm to you, those type of things. So that's what they mainly look for.
No. I was talking about
Is it a question?
Credit check? Are you talking about a credit check?
Credit
Are you
check?
talking about a credit check and not a background check?
And what is the fee for that? Can it, when I say waived, I mean, can they waive it so the person doesn't have to pay for it?
So at this time we have to pay for it. So we have to put the cost of the fee onto the applicant. But we can't charge more than $20.
Oh, 20. Okay. Thank you. I think I'm done with my questions.
Lucy, also, if you're a prospective tenant and you have a recent background check and a credit check, which was conducted within the past 30 days, you can just show your report to the management office, and they would be able to use it. And they wouldn't have to do it again. So if you have the information, you can provide it to the management office, and the application fee should be waived.
Okay, good to know. And I'm good to know that it's $20, because I've heard outrageous fees that other places are charging, 150, 200, which to me it's ridiculous, because if someone's applied for a low income unit, how do you expect them to come up with $200, $300? But
Chica, correct me if I'm wrong, for people with subsidies now, they're no longer allowed to do a credit check. You still do a background check, but no credit check. So that's something new that's something new that the city came up with, but that's for people with subsidies.
Correct.
So like if someone came in with, a Section 8 voucher or any other housing voucher, we're no longer allowed to do a credit check on those guys. We can do only a background check.
That's correct.
Well, me personally, I thank you for coming. I'm not throwing you out. I'm just saying I thank you very much. And it's a shame that many people did not participate in this and learn more, because there's a lot of questions that we had that were answered. And, a lot of people just think you apply for something and you get it and it's woohoo. And actually it's not, people still do not comprehend that your credit is your key to moving forward in a lot of things in this world. And then, you also get the background check. And I just learned a lot about having having a couple of extra bucks in the bank for an emergency situation. So I personally thank each and every one of you, and I wish more people would have joined.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank-
Oh, wait, one more
Yes.
question.
The recertification, you said they only do it the one time and then how often do they do the recertification?
So recertification for tax credit has to be done the first 2 years.
First 2 years.
And then after that, you can self-certify after that for 100% tax credit buildings. For Coney Island, it's not 100%. So that means that they have to recertify every single year for this building.
For this building. Do you do 2943 West 20th Street? Is that your building too?
No, no.
Not yours?
Tara, do you know who it is?
I do not.
I know they was on Housing Connect as
Yeah,
well.
they were on Housing Connect at one
Yes,
point.
we're just one of the marketing agents. There's several approved marketing agents for HPD in the city.
Okay. But the rules are different for each building. depending on the building.
Yes,
The
rules are
rules,
different.
well, the Housing Connect rules are the same, right? So like the process and everything else, what is different is the recertification process.
Right.
So depending on the financing and the structure of a project and the deal, is where things differ. But if anybody who uses Housing Connect, we have to follow the New York City HPD, HDC guidelines. And again, HPD and HDC are two different organizations. They both use Housing Connect. They slightly vary a little bit in their marketing guidelines and stuff. But we follow their guidelines. But when it comes to recertifications and all that, that will vary depending on the project, each specific project.
Are you gonna be doing any co-ops on no, they don't do that.
Not anytime soon. Nope.
There is a separate portal for Michelama
Yeah.
groups. I have a question with regards to the appeal process. Let's say somebody was selected and then he or she submitted the documents, and lo and behold, that person was denied based on some sort of reason. Is there a way to appeal this by going through an HPD administrative appeal?
Yeah, that's another great question. So yes, the person has 10 business days to appeal a rejection. And then even after that, if we reject them, they have another 10 business days to complain to HPD to look into their case. So they'll have a third party separate from us to look into their
Yes, the
their
shower.
case.
You need a shower before you fall asleep.
You need to take a shower. Okay.
She's a mom.
So-
We know she's a mom.
When do people use the appeal process? Do they go all the way to Article 78 in the Supreme Court? Do you know by any chance?
Can you repeat the question?
How often do applicants use the appeal process?
They use it quite often. If they feel as though they have a really good case, then it usually goes to HPD and an HPD decides for them. But quite often they do if they feel strongly about their case and why they think their rejection isn't justified or incorrect. Yeah.
Is there an impartial hearing for an appeal?
So what happens? So usually people are rejected for a bunch of reasons. But usually it's because of their either over income, they're under income, and they don't qualify. So it's usually an income calculation that that people contest, and which a lot of people don't understand is that we use the gross income from every source. Then we use the average of 4 to 6 pay stubs, and we use the gross income from that as well to determine their income. So usually what they see in the bank, they want to base their income off of that, and that's the net income. And that's not usually how it works. We have to use the gross income to qualify people, and they contest that. They think that that's incorrect, that they don't receive the gross income. So why should we be counting it? Those type of things. So it's usually income based, and our team, we have a specialized team that does the income calculation. They do it well. Once a file is rejected, they have another party review their file. So internally, we have we go through the calculations with a fine tooth comb. And usually once it goes to HPD usually agrees with us that they don't income qualify, because we've already done the job.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for participating and providing valuable information today.
No problem. I'll leave my personal information for any of you guys, if you have any questions about community board members that are applying through with us. You can reach out to me, and I'll try to answer any questions that you have.
All right. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
I'm closing the meeting.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, where are you supposed to? There's the chair. But thank you, guys.
Bye. Have a
You're
good one.